Hello, beautiful people. How are you all doing? If you're watching the video, I'm in a new space, and I was laughing because they put the paintings up crooked. And I just thought, okay, the wabi-sabi of life. The wabi-sabi of life is that there's always just something that's maybe slightly off and imperfect. And the beauty of imperfection. And I thought, actually, you know what? That's kind of a good place to begin, because today what I want to talk to is our self-worth. It's not a new topic, but I really want to speak to it in just a gentle, loving, simple way as a reminder for us all. A lot of this isn't going to be anything that you don't already know, but I think when we've been so entrenched in a certain way of viewing ourselves and relating to ourselves and living in a world that isn't supportive of your authenticity, of your unique, special, expression and essence of who you are, we need reminders. We need reminders. And I think now more than ever, as the external world gets more chaotic and mad and crazy, and it can really pull us off our center, if we want to create outer peace, we have to create inner peace. And in order to create inner peace, we cannot be judging who we are. We cannot be in a space of maybe even loathing ourselves, or at the very least feeling uncomfortable being who we are. If the saying is true of as within, so without, then the most powerful thing that we can do is learn how to relate to ourselves in the most beautiful, loving, kind, gentle of ways, because then we will transmit that and we will relate to other people in that same way, right? So it feels like it's a very important message to remember and remind ourselves of. So today is going to be a reminder. And I want to talk about how to really simplify what it means, looks like, feels to be in a state of worthiness. So let's dive in. This is Corinne Blum, and you're listening to Raw Conversations. So, to begin speaking about self-worth and self-acceptance and all of these things, we have to put it in the context that we have been living in a society that doesn't really have any interest in supporting who we are, who we truly are. And if I were to zoom out even further, that would even the first bit of fragmentation happened when we were disconnected from source and from our true selves, our higher selves, our essence, our nature, our soul, our spirit, whatever you want to call it. And from, all that is us, right? Everything. And from the source of our own creation. So that was the first like crack in the vase, you could say. And every crack is a fragmentation that makes us feel like we're less whole. We're not ever not whole, but we feel less whole when we sever this part from ourselves and we fragment this part from ourselves and we compartmentalize this part and we go, I don't want this and I want to get rid of this. And basically what's at the root of that is judgment and fear that creates the illusion that feels very, very, very real, but it's an illusion no less, that we're not whole and that we're not worthy and that we're not good enough. And then, you layer to that a society that over generations upon generations, could be thousands of years, that has said, you're not good enough. You're not worthy. You need to prove yourself. You're not loved if, this and this and this doesn't add up. There's so many different messages that we've received, whether it's collective or personal through our family ancestral line, through our education, through our peers, through nowadays in modern lives, through films and TV series and all of the subliminal messages that come through, that ultimately really disempower us, because it's like the sleep potion of feeding the illusion of who you think you are instead of actually revealing who you truly are. And who you truly are is love, is remarkably powerful, is beautiful, compassionate, kind, loving, incredible. So in a context of a society that says you're not good enough and you're not going to be happy and you're not going to feel whole unless you buy things and unless you achieve and succeed through things, your worth is always going to be outside of yourself. And if you're not reaching those bars, those expectations, the measurement of what society says, yes, you're a good person now, which actually is a total illusion, because the whole point of not enough is it will never, ever, ever, ever be enough. You will constantly be chasing the dangling carrot, right? And what does that create? It creates an inner turmoil. It creates an inner frustration. It creates a feeling of homelessness. Because the moment that we're outside of ourselves, because we've been severed from source, we've been severed from who we truly are, we've been severed from nature and all the things that remind us of who we are. We've been, even kind of like man against nature, man against animals. And when I say man, I'm just saying humans, man, woman, child, everything, humans. The moment that we are put against something or taken away from something, there's the illusion of separation. And when we're in separation externally, we have to be in separation internally, right? So again, I'm going to reiterate it just to really like make it very clear, is the first kink in it, the first crack in the vase was our severing from source, which is our ultimate home. And so the reason why I say in my work, I'm guiding people back home to who they truly are, to their true self, is because we've been pulled further and further and further away from our inner home. And therefore look at the world and the chaos and the lack of peace, because it's hard to find it inside of ourselves. So many people can't even look at themselves in the mirror without having some form of judgment. Or maybe they can't sit still with their thoughts and their feelings because it scares them. To face oneself, if you resonate with this, feel like there is something inherently and innately wrong with you, it's going to be deeply painful to sit with yourself or to see yourself, because there's going to be shame. And shame is so painful and often so lonely for people. And there's so much judgment in it. And yet, the thing that shame doesn't want is to be seen. And so if you see it, that's actually the portal, the doorway, the pathway to allowing shame to kind of melt away. So we want to jump straight to, I'm worthy and I totally accept myself and I love myself. I have self-love. I have self-worth. And we believe, again, because we're taught outside in, that it's something that we have to do. It's like, oh, I'm more spiritual, or I'm a better person, or I'm more positive if I do yoga and meditation every day. And those things are great, but everything is about integration. Is it bringing you into a place where you are truly facing all of yourself? And what I mean by that is, can you sit with your pain? Can you sit with the shadowy parts that you do not want to look at, that you do not want to feel, that you're scared of, that you judge? We're never going to find inner peace until we can actually sit and just be like, okay, I see my pain. I see my fear. I see my limiting beliefs. I see my wounding. I see my anger. I see my grief. I see all the ways in which I feel different and alone and not good enough and bad and wrong and like I'm a mistake and how do I get better? And all of that chatter, whatever the script is for you, until we can sit with and look at those things and say, I love you too. It's okay. It's not your true self. It's who you've been taught to be. It's who you've learned to believe that you are, or even who you think you should be, that is not your true self. It's all crap from the outside that you've taken in and you've created an identity around and you've believed it to be true. And in the crumbling of society, in the crumbling of all the old systems, we are crumbling our identities that were born and birthed out of that paradigm and that structure, you could say, and all of the belief systems that go with that paradigm and structure, which comes from lack, scarcity, not enough. You're not good enough. You don't have enough money. We don't have enough money. There's not enough abundance. There's not enough support. There's not enough housing. There's not enough jobs. There's not enough food. There's not enough. Do you see? Everything is like there's not enough. And when you're not enough, you go into survival. And when you go into survival, you go into fear. And when you go into fear, you go into the reptilian part of your brain. And when you're living in that space, it's really hard to connect to heart and to love, and therefore your true source, your true self, your true essence, and your true home. So it's recognizing, do you feel and hear how noisy all of that is? And so in the simplest, most direct route, and we continue to meet this choice point and this fork in the road. I said it back in 2020 at the beginning of the first lockdown, and I will continue to say it. The crossroads will continue to show up. Do I take the path of fear or do I take the path of love? It's a choice. It's very easy and very addicting and sometimes very alluring and enticing, and because it's so heavily trying to influence us to go down the path of fear. And it's not like you're thinking, oh, I'm going down the path of fear, I'm choosing fear. No, it's not a conscious choice, right? It's because we believe that the path of fear that has been so wrapped up just very sneakily, we believe that that's safety. So it's not that we're choosing the path of fear. We feel like we're choosing the path of safety, but safety, always underlying it, is fear. Because when we're going down the other path, which we'll call the path of love, but what does the path of love look like? The path of love looks like harmony, connection, interconnection between humans and all species, kindness, heart, generosity, compassion, understanding, patience, forgiveness, acceptance. And so also what I mean is, like, if you go down that route, it doesn't mean all of a sudden your humanity goes away. You might still get angry. You might still get pissed. You might still get scared. You might still get envious and jealous and all of the human experiences, but you know how to be with them with love. The other path, the path of fear, would take your humanity and berate yourself for it, judge yourself for it, shame yourself for it, blame yourself for it, go into guilt, whatever it is. That's coming from fear, lack, scarcity. I'm not good enough. The other path, you're still going to have to deal with life and challenges and being human. Like, welcome, right? But it's in the container of love. And when you're in the container of love, you don't need to look for safety because you are innately safe, because you are innately held with love, because you are innately and intrinsically connected to the source of who you truly are. So there isn't, like, the only reason we look for safety is if we believe that we are unsafe, right? But if we're connected to our true source, of course we're safe. So an example of that would be if as a baby we felt held, loved, we were fed, we had a warm place to live, we could sleep peacefully, we didn't feel like we were in danger or in threat of anything, the concept of being unsafe and needing to therefore be safe would be irrelevant. We wouldn't even question that. It's only the moment that something becomes unsafe that we look for safety. Does that make sense? So it's no different also within ourselves. You know, what makes us feel unsafe within ourselves is if you feel something and then you tell yourself off for it. You feel sadness, or you feel envy, or you feel insecure, or you feel depressed, or you feel angry, or you feel whatever. You just feel off. And you go, and therefore that makes you bad. See, you're not good enough. You're not lovable. Nobody wants you. You don't matter. You're totally insignificant. And then your being shrinks more and more and more and more. And you feel unsafe because you're alone. And you're in judgment and you're in shame. And again, you know, as I speak to this, And I reflect about how so many people find it even hard to just look at themselves in the mirror and say, I love you. What they'll look at is all of the flaws. You put on an outfit. Ooh, that part doesn't look good. This part of my body doesn't look good. That's like the go-to is what could be wrong. What's the flaw? What's the part that's not good enough? Rather than taking everything in and really seeing the beauty of who you are in the entire field around you, not just like the little minute details, but even then, like, look at like, oh, my eyes are beautiful, or my this or that and the other. But actually that's just if you want to play with accepting your physicality. But it's actually like, when I look into the mirror in the morning and my face is still not woken up, but I have this practice that I get up and I, after I do whatever my, kind of morning ritual is, I get up and I look at myself in the mirror and I literally put my arms around myself and I look really into my eyes and I say, good morning, beautiful. I love you. I love you. And I smile at myself, and I look at the wrinkles and I look at the sleepiness or whatever it is, but I look at the light in my eyes. Because we need to move beyond the surface and the superficial. And I'm not getting into some like spiritual woo-woo shit of like, you need to rise above your human experience and be some like God. Like, well, you are a God, right? But always through your humanity. So see your wrinkles, see your tired eyes in the morning and tell all of it, I love you. Like, can you say it sincerely and genuinely and authentically? And so the simplicity of the message lies in a feeling that should be gentle and calm. The voice that we would have loved our mother to speak to us in, our father to speak to us in, our teachers, our friends, life, God, universe, source, our higher self, our inner critic that says, I love you as you are. I love you for you. I was listening to a series of videos on people that had NDEs, near-death experiences. And one woman was beautifully talking about how when she crossed to the other side, who she met was like the Divine Mother. And the Divine Mother, she said, it was really, really, truly, truly, truly the meaning and definition and embodiment of unconditional love. And the reason why she said that is because there were these, she went through a very dark scene that was almost kind of like these, not demons, but, like what if you were to put it into like a movie character would kind of look maybe like a zombie or something that, would be scary, right? Scary, very low vibration, a low density. Some people might call it like of the realm of hell or the devil or whatever labels you want to use, right? And the woman that had the near-death experience said, oh, and the Divine Mother loved them too, accepted them as a part of her too. So what that means as a metaphor and as a catalyst for our own human experience is that we don't get to just love ourselves when we're happy and great and we're fit and we're in shape and we're in love and we're successful and then I'm happy, then I'm good, then I love myself, then I accept myself. Self-love comes through the acceptance of every nook and cranny and expression and foible and flaw and wound and crack and whatever it is about ourselves. It's saying that everything, all of it, I love it because it's who I am. And my body in this lifetime is my home, even though it's not my true home. This body will die one day, but our consciousness continues. We come out of the dream. We go back home. We continue life on the other side, right? There's a whole life on the other side that is more real than this. It's like when we wake up from a dream. The dream was a dream, then we think this is real, and then we wake up. I mean, it like reminds me of, we can say it as fractals, but it reminds me of the Russian dolls. You keep on taking one, and there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. I think that existence is like that in a way. But to not get too far out, to just come back to, wouldn't it be lovely if you could just be who you are for who you are and know that you're loved? I've worked with people over the plus 15 years of doing this work where sometimes it's like they logically get it, but it's so hard for them to feel it in their body, to really feel it and embody it, because doesn't come through an abstract thought of the mind. That's why you can say affirmations, but if they're not married and in union with a feeling, it only goes skin deep. We are experiential beings. We have to feel it. And often we want that feeling from someone outside of ourselves, because maybe we're seeking for the love and the recognition and the validation and the safety and all of that from our parents. And maybe for whatever reason, they couldn't give it to us in the way that we wanted it, right? And we can't ever have 100% of our needs met. It's virtually impossible. I can say that as a mother. I cannot always have 100% of my daughter's needs met. I can't even always 100% fulfill my own needs, right? But again, it's how do we approach what we do need? How do we approach our capacity in that moment? So this morning when I woke up and I was kind of in my meditation, I very randomly found myself going through, I was focusing on the men in my life and forgiveness. And this goes all the way down to my father. And the thing that helps me to forgive, which is ultimately, it's not even about, some people are like, I don't want to forgive because it releases them of what they did badly to me. No, forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is to let go of the pain in your heart, right? That is still angry or upset or hurt or wounded or betrayed or whatever it is. But you're the one feeling it every day, not them, right? So forgiveness for me, what helps me to release that person with forgiveness is to say, within your capacity and the limitations that you had, you did your best, you tried, and I forgive you and I let you go. Because I do believe that our true innate human nature is born of love, kindness, compassion, care. We all have the fear and the same vulnerability of, whatever, being abandoned, being rejected, the separation from source, the fragmentation, right? You're not going to love me. You're not going to want me. You're not going to value me. You're not going to see me. You're not going to hear me. You're not going to understand me. You're not going to include me. You're not going to accept me. I think this is just like general what people are afraid of. And some might lean towards one more than another, depending on their story. But I like this, framing of within that person's capacity and their limitations, they tried their best. And, it's hard to say, but even someone that is narcissistic and abusive, and they probably have a reason for being narcissistic and abusive because they probably were abused and probably at the hand of a narcissist. And so, generations and trauma begets more generational trauma, right? So understanding that even that kind of person has their wounding, has their fears, has their inner child that is probably incredibly lonely and like a, emaciated child in the corner of a dark, damp, barren room. And that part deserves love too, and is desperate for love and maybe has never experienced love in its lifetime, which is tragic, right? So deeply tragic. So based on that, their capacity was so tiny. Their limitation was actually so big. They had so much limitation because they didn't have the source of life that they even needed to be a good person. And so they behaved the way that they behaved, and it's not to condone it. But if we are looking at forgiveness, which I know I'm going off on a big tangent, but it's relevant, we have to understand the context through which they came from, right? And on a side, because it just came in, I was thinking about there's this really brilliant French movie, and I don't know if it's called like The Green Planet, The Little Green Planet. Anyway, there's this woman that comes from another planet. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go down to Earth. Like, I'm going to have the experience of going down to Earth. And, she comes down to Earth and it's like, what is all of this stuff? It's very interesting. But what I want to speak to that I loved is the way that they would refuel wasn't to eat. Like the food was like she would eat something and it was like it was dead. It had no life, right? She would spit it out, be like, "Oh no!" And she was losing energy and she was losing life force. And the way that she would refuel was by holding a baby, because baby was like that source of just love and unconditional love and pure source energy, and it's so beautiful, and it's such a beautiful reminder of what is it that gives us life, that gives us the energy and the life force that we need to continue being alive. Right? So the reason why I want to talk about, or why I spoke to forgiveness and capacity and limitation, is because it's no different within ourselves. That to really come into a place of self-worth and self-love and self-acceptance is to understand the places that we maybe even need to forgive ourselves and forgive other people. And choosing the path of love, it's not to allow people to get away with doing bad things. It's not about being a doormat. That's not what I mean at all. But we can either choose to remain in anger and victimization and blame, and therefore create like environment of distrust of other people and even within ourselves, and feel what that feels like. Maybe there's a process, there's a phase of time where we have to be in that, right? Like there's no like quick, just get there, just do it, just go into love, go into self-acceptance. Like it's a process and it's a journey. I totally understand and get that. But at the end of the day, and I think especially now more than ever, because I think things are happening rapidly, like really, really fast, and things are shifting quickly. And there is a lot of different energy and light coming in that is giving us the opportunity to heal and let go more swiftly, more instantaneously in a way. If we're willing to not hold on to the old identity, as I spoke to earlier, to take the safe route, right, out of fear, but to actually be willing to jump into the unknown. And what helps us jump into the unknown, the parachute of that, is love. Because at the end of the day, if I go, okay, what state of being do I want to be in? And this isn't about spiritual bypassing. This isn't about like false positivity or false spirituality. This is about a very grounded, embodied sense of self and being that says, I want to be in the state of love. I don't want to always be angry or upset with someone or hold a grudge or hold a bias or be prejudiced or be judgmental, because it doesn't feel good in my body and being. When we come into a place of heart and love and generosity and like appreciation and gratitude, we naturally feel happier. Like, why is it that people love videos about like kittens and puppy dogs, or like people doing good things for other people or saving or doing whatever? It makes us emotional. It makes us happy. It makes us feel good, right? Like there's the good news movement, that share like what people have done for other people that is like beautiful and good and helpful and generous, right? That is like that woman in the film holding a baby. It gives us energy. It gives us life force. It like fills up the battery, right? Everything else drains us, depletes us. And then we become those kind of like zombie like creatures that are kind of just on autopilot, just trying to get through life, because we're not connected to the source of who we are, which is love, generosity, compassion, kindness, heart, connection, gratitude. So, in the simplest form, the invitation is to just simply take little pauses throughout your day. Even if you can begin with like 2, the beginning of the day, the end of the day, then 3, the beginning, the middle, the end. Then it's like snack time, like you have the meals and then put in snack time. So like if you can get to even 5 times a day, and then obviously get to a point where it's just natural and innate and as frequently as possible, check in with yourself. Am I being kind right now? Is there any part of me that's judging a part of myself in this moment, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, energetically, spiritually, whatever? Do I have any judgment? Am I fighting against myself? Am I resisting? Am I resisting my experience and therefore judging my experience and saying, no, this is not okay. You should. You should feel like this. You should be doing that. You should get off the couch. You shouldn't be taking a nap because you're tired. You should be pushing this. You should. Whenever the shoulds are coming up, you know that you're outside of yourself and you're in a societal voice or an external voice that is not in the care of who you truly authentically are. And then once you recognize that, come into, can whatever is up for you that you're feeling, thinking, experiencing, can you hold that with love? Can you place it in the container of love? Can you love it too? Can you say it's okay? And can you work through it? And can you take also self-responsibility? You know, there's times where I catch myself in a kind of observation that I recognize as judgmental. And it's like, okay, I want to work on that. I don't want to do it that much, because also it's like, firstly, who am I to judge that person or whatever they're choosing to do just because I might not do it? But also it's not creating a nice experience for myself, right? So I think, you know, I've heard people say this, it's like one of the biggest illusions, like, yes, fear is an illusion, safety is an illusion. So much of our world and our society right now is an illusion. But the biggest illusion is that you're not good enough. The biggest illusion is that you're not worthy and that you're not loved and lovable. So the invitation is to just check in with yourself as often and as frequently as you can, to recognize, in what ways am I judging myself? In what ways am I severing myself from myself? And can I show up with kindness? Can I show up with love, gentleness? Can I look at myself in the mirror? Do the mirror exercise. Stand in front of the mirror, sit in front of the mirror, build it up day by day, but even begin with like a minute and look at yourself. Really look at yourself. Notice the judgments, notice the shame, notice the fear, notice the resistance, notice the discomfort. Stay, sit with it. Can you show up with love and really face yourself? Do it with eyes closed in meditation. Do it with eyes open in front of the mirror. Do it in all things that you do. Am I loving myself? Am I being kind to myself? Self-love will be there naturally by having self-acceptance, which is I accept all parts of me no matter what I'm thinking, feeling, or experiencing. And acceptance comes through not judging anymore. And not judging comes by being okay with your humanity and not saying that this is good and bad and right and wrong. And coming back to just this is. And can it be okay? And of course you can evolve and you can grow and you can, you know, evolve behaviors. You can make different choices. You can take self-responsibility and mature. Yes, all of those things. But it's not coming from, I don't know why the word that comes through is very strong. It's not coming through hatred. It's coming through love. It's not coming through the hate of who you are. It's coming through the love of who you are. And you're in the school of life. And so, of course, you're going to grow. So that's it. So I just want to say that you are loved. You are loved. And I love you. If that helps you to know that even just one person says, I love you, you deserve to take that in from yourself, from those around you, from everyone, from life, from God, from source, from creator, from universe, most especially from you. So that's it. As always, take it or leave it as feels right for you, and loving you from afar. And the last note is live with love, lead with love, and be love. Bye. Thank you for being here with me. You've been listening to Raw Conversations with Corinne Blum. Thanks so much for showing up, listening in, and being a part of the conversation with me.